Are you somebody who does short cruises? Are you a fan of the 2 to 4 day cruise to maybe a local place somewhere nearby, just so you can get a taste and figure out whether or not you like the ship? I feel like every mass market cruise line has these types of booze cruises now, as they often call them, where you can sort of sample the 2 to 4 day itinerary, make sure that it's right for you. They kind of are like the ultimate vacation buffet now that I think about it. They're quick, they're satisfying, and they definitely leave you happily craving more. I know when I've done the 2 to 4 day itineraries, I'm always thinking, oh my God, we just got started. I'm just getting used to this place, and suddenly we're back, right? We're back at home. But I know for a lot of people, vacation-wise, PTO-wise, they can only do these 2 to 4 day itineraries, or they can't cruise at all. And so you have to make some concessions here and there. And that's why I want to dive into how to squeeze every ounce of joy, ease, and indulgence out of that weekend escape so that you can maximize your time and truly enjoy yourself on these shorter cruises. First up, pre-board like a VIP. Arrive the night before. If you can get there the day before, you are going to be in far better shape. Nothing says relaxed like stepping into the port, well rested, coffee in hand, with no mad dash, no anxiety, no stress. A savvy travel planner like myself, who's logged dozens of cruises at this point, I do consider this move cruise strategy 101. I really do, especially when flights are so unpredictable nowadays. I have done, and you've probably seen it here on this channel if you've watched for a while, I have in fact done red eyes that have led me into the morning of the cruise. That is so dangerous to do. I have had many close calls. Thankfully, I've made it each time, but that added stress, it's not fun. And I was really just doing it to try and maximize my own PTO, right? To try and maximize my own time off, because I couldn't really accommodate a day before at that point. And so nowadays, I tend to always come in the day before a cruise, just to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row. I am relaxed, I am stress-free, and just skip the 6 a.m. flight stress, right? Everything gets delayed nowadays, doesn't it? Especially if it's a flight that's important to you. It tends to get delayed, doesn't it? And sometimes just an hour or so of a delay, that can have a true domino effect and potentially make you late, and you could miss your cruise entirely. So I say instead, stroll into port, fresh-faced on cruise day or earlier, enjoying yourself, ready for the cruise of a long weekend. To follow that, craft a flexible game plan. I say before you set sail, decide what floats your boat, right? You want to dance under the stars? Good, do that. Fine dine at the specialty restaurant? All right, add it to the list. Maybe you want to float in the pool with a cocktail. Who doesn't? Let's get that done. Then map it out, but leave some wiggle room for some spontaneous fun. On port days, when fellow cruisers are exploring on land, you really can enjoy quieter decks and almost zero-wait lunches, and that makes the cruising experience far better, right? When people aren't a factor, and nobody's in the way, it's even better, isn't it? Treat your itinerary like a buffet. Take what you want, leave the rest for those surprise, I'm doing this now type moments. It will serve you in the end. To follow that, embrace the ship, skip the shore. If you're thinking of skipping shore excursions, not as missing out, but as grabbing a golden surf day at port while everyone else disembarks, well, quiet adults only time, premium seating, fast service, maybe 2 margaritas before midday. Yes, please. Skipping shore excursions is sometimes worth it on these shorter trips. I have done this many times, mainly just to test out all the amenities on board, just to experience whether or not I like this ship enough to recognize that I might take this on a longer journey down the line. And in that case, I will get off the ship. In that case, I will book excursions. But on a 2 to 4 day, quite often, I'm dropping into locations that I've probably been before, because usually those port stops aren't far from the initial embarkation port, right? Usually they're within a stone's throw on purpose, because you're not going far distances in a 2 to 4 day. You're going kind of in the region and coming back. So I definitely want to embrace the ship a bit more, and I skip the shore in that capacity. Next up, pack smart and don't overpack. Look, with a short cruise, your cabin is mainly a changing room. So opt for an inside cabin. I always talk about the inside cabin option because you'll happily trade balcony lip service for more fun and less cabin cost when you do it. It is an experience where if you save that money in cabin form, you can use it for all kinds of other things, right? Absolutely make sure you get an inside cabin on these shorter cruises. It'll force you just to be out and about having more fun, so you can experience absolutely everything that the ship has to offer. Toss essentials like chargers, swimwear, flip-flops into your carry-on so you can head straight to the deck while your main bag makes its lazy entrance. That tends to happen. You gotta wait a while for your luggage to show up on embarkation day. But pack only what you need. I tend to only pack a backpack in general, as well as maybe a computer bag with me, and that's it. Anywhere I go for however long I plan to be away, not even short cruises. If I'm going to be away 9 days on a cruise, I still only have a backpack. I'll do anything I need to do on board in terms of cleaning my own clothes and making sure that I am going to be well taken care of from that perspective. So a backpack, a computer bag, and that's it. Saves me a lot of headaches, and I don't ever have to worry about whether or not they've lost my luggage or whether or not it's getting to my door at some point. To follow that, budget like a boss. Short voyages often come with surprise extra charges, drinks, spa treatments, Wi-Fi, and of course, so many more, depending on the brand of cruise line you might be setting sail with now. Set daily spending limits, but don't get stingy. I mean, this is your mini getaway after all. Go in with a credit card, ready to rock, just in case. I always say bring wine aboard. Oftentimes this is allowed, even in the nickel and diming atmosphere we're in now, where most cruise lines will make sure to restrict everything that you can do. But I notice the major market cruise lines tend to still allow this one, bringing wine aboard or asking for a bottle to be recorked, and you can save some serious cash. Same thing with, maybe a six-pack of your favorite soda. If it's a short cruise, that'll save you some money, won't it? Rather than $5 a drink, you've got your own bag, package, whatever you need of soda that you can bring along. So it's certainly helpful in that regard. After that, use the app like it's your best friend. Make sure to download the cruise line's official app before boarding. It's nowadays your one-stop shop for activity schedules, deck maps, restaurant timings. Check-in for restaurants are often done through the apps nowadays. Port info is found on these apps. It will turn the ship's labyrinth into your personal playground. I would say skip the peak check-in times as well. So noon to 2 p.m. to get on board sooner is something that you can certainly be prepared to take advantage of. But I know everybody gets so excited. They want to get on as early as possible. If they've got a 10:30 reservation slot, people want to book that immediately because they want to get the party started, because they want to maximize their time. And I completely understand that. But you are also going to wait in large crowds and certainly wait for the sake of trying to be cleared and processed just so you can get on. Sometimes there are delays even getting people off the ship, and so that eats into the earliest time frames. But noon to 2 p.m., if you can get those slots, I feel like 9 times out of 10 when I've done that, there's nobody in the way. And you can go straight to your room quite often, which is the other real trade-off. You can go straight to your stateroom, straight to your cabin, drop off your stuff, get things ready, and then it's time to rock and roll out on the Lido deck. Beyond that, bring clever gear that works double duty. Short cruises are perfect for smart packing tricks. A magnetic dry erase board stuck on your cabin door keeps everyone in sync, including conversation starters with neighbors. I see this quite often. People can write on your whiteboard, and everybody, is able to participate. That's a lot of fun. A prepared shampoo bottle filled with cash is stealthy genius for tips, snacks, or casino chips. And water shoes, not just for the waves. Some activities require them, like the ship ropes courses. Make sure to bring those water shoes, especially if you plan to get off the ship and do anything beachy. I find that so many beaches nowadays are just rocky as hell and something you need to be prepared to deal with. So water shoes go a long way. And finally, mind your etiquette and enjoy the ride. Rub elbows politely with fellow passengers and crew. A few cruise etiquettes can go a long way. Showing up on time for safety drills, your muster stations, excursions, those sorts of things. Leaving lounge chairs when you leave the deck. Right? Making sure that you remove your towels, remove any sort of identifying objects that could make it seem like you are still in the lounge chair. Do that for the sake of everyone, right? You hate it when you go up to a Lido deck and see every lounge chair taken. Do what's necessary in this space just for the sake of courtesy to your fellow traveler, and tip well. Have small bills ready. I always find when I tip my room steward in particular at the beginning of a cruise outside of traditional gratuities, slip them an additional 20. Those people work incredibly hard. They go out of their way to make sure that I have an even more exceptional experience after that. I think because it's just sort of validation that you see them, you recognize how hard they work, and so then they really want to please you even more. And so they go out of their way to do extra for you along the journey. These weekend cruises can often be environments where people are far more engaged, far more willing to chat it up and to be friendly, because typically the booze cruise concept, that name comes from somewhere when it comes to these shorter cruises, which means people are much more friendly, much more open, much more willing to chat and enjoy themselves. So you certainly have an opportunity to make some new friends on these quick cruises. They are intentionally curated bursts of joy, these weekend cruises are. Pace them right, and you return relaxed, full, and secretly planning your next adventure. Speaking of adventures, if you'd like to check out a recent cruise that I did on a ship that does quite a few of these booze cruise experiences, the Carnival Radiance, check out the video on the right, or for other cruise solo tips and more, check out the video on the left. We'll see you next time on the Solo Cruiser.